Welcome to Please Me, the podcast bringing you bold conversations and big clit energy. Sí, Please Me ahora tiene subtítulos en español. And welcome to my Friday bonus episode series. I'm Eve, your host, on a journey from trauma to sexual liberation. Let's reclaim pleasure and close the orgasm gap, one empowering conversation at a time. Last week, I talked about being an active participant in the bedroom. And today, I talk about how the issue of access to safe abortions is essential for women's sexual health and is an issue that can result in life or death outcomes. Did you know that podcasts rely on listener support to keep bringing you the content you love? For the best way to support the show, join me on Patreon for ad-free listening, early releases, bonus episodes, and exclusive content. See show notes for the link. I love that people are now tuning in overseas in the United Kingdom, Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, and Switzerland. Please share this episode with a friend and help me spread essential sexual education around the world. And be sure to check the show notes for the link to vote for me for Best Educator and Best Educator website for the ASN Awards. Please Me is for mature audiences. Sit back, relax, and surrender to the pleasure of Please Me.
Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Hello, and welcome to Please Me, the Friday episode series. I'm so excited to come on here today and talk to you about abortion. I have been wanting to do a talk about abortion since Roe versus Wade was overturned. And I think that this issue is such an important issue for women to know about and to be empowered about in terms of education. So I am coming on here to talk about abortion and to really empower women to know all of the information that they need to know in order to protect themselves, because times are different right now, and we may or may not be residing in a state where legal abortions exist. And truthfully, across the world, maternal deaths due to abortion is still very widespread. So I want to empower women to know information about abortion services in their area, and if abortions are not legal in your area, to know what to do if for some reason you require abortion services at any time. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was that abortion should really not be considered a political issue. This is a woman's rights issue. And we should have bodily autonomy, meaning we have the right to make decisions about our own bodies. And I believe that the government should stay out of these decisions. Whether I get pregnant or not should not be any government official's responsibility to tell me whether or not I can keep the child or terminate the pregnancy. And so that's number one, my personal views. I don't think it's a political issue. I definitely think it's a woman's rights issue. And before Roe versus Wade, there were maternity wings in many different hospitals, abortion wings, and they were conducting legal abortions, but the women had to undergo a host of questionnaires from a board whether or not they would be allowed to have an abortion. And sometimes it was because they were raped. Whatever the reasons were, they were questioned and had to be approved. And again, this is taking a woman's bodily autonomy away from them and putting it in the hands of people who didn't know them and were judging them. And I don't think that this is the way that we need to be going right now. We are in developed countries. We have the medications, we have the procedures that can safely perform these types of abortions without causing harm to the mother. So I wanted to talk about the abortion wings specifically, because they also were housing women who had unsafe abortions, illegal abortions, and many women died because of these abortions. Some of the statistics that I have here, in the 1930s, abortion was the official cause of death of 18% of maternal deaths. And in 1965, abortion was still accounting for 17% of all pregnancy-related deaths. And then in many countries around the world, these numbers are much higher. And for example, in Nigeria, 72% of deaths occurring in women below the age of 19 are due to the complications from illegal abortions. So again, this is a woman's rights issue. It's something that we need to have the ability to determine what happens to our bodies, because when left to the devices of the political structures that we live in, many women end up dying because of these procedures, when really the procedures are extremely safe in most of the cases. And I will get to that statistic in a little bit. But again, agency and bodily autonomy is absolutely necessary for women to have in order to protect themselves and to make decisions regarding our own lives. Sometimes it could be a rape, or sometimes it could be a time when you're not ready to have a child. Maybe you already have children and you don't want to have another child, or maybe you're young and you're not ready to be a mom yet. And unfortunately, what happens with women is that oftentimes we're the ones left with raising that child, and the father doesn't take the responsibility of helping to raise that child. And so for women, this is a huge issue that needs to be discussed openly. So I am here opening up that conversation, and I hope that we have many more to come. Some of the complications that can happen from an illegal abortion are hemorrhaging, which is bleeding out, infections or sepsis. Sepsis is an infection that enters the bloodstream and can cause death. And then a perforated uterus can also be something that happens during an illegal abortion, which also can cause death and infertility. And we need to really consider whether we should be making decisions regarding getting an illegal abortion. And my recommendation is that if you live in a state that does not allow for legal abortions, that you seek help outside of your state, or you can look at medications that can help you to get a legal abortion.
Your burger is served, and this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix, online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
Lights, camera, innovation. Walt Disney Studios chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform the movie-making process. Together, we kept a remote production hub in Hawaii in sync with a team in California to bring Lilo and Stitch to theaters this summer. This is picture-perfect collaboration. This is Walt Disney Studios with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
So I want to draw the distinction between two types of medications. So there's something called the morning after pill. And the morning after pill is not the same as a pill that would cause a medical abortion. The morning after pill is something that you would take if you had unprotected sex. And it needs to be taken within the first 72 hours or 3 days of you having unprotected sex. And what that does is not allow for the fertilization to occur, given a change in the hormones that your body would naturally have. So that is something that you can get most of the time over the counter. It's not necessarily something that you need to go see your doctor for. So that's something that I think all women need to know is accessible to them. And then if you do end up having a pregnancy, an unwanted pregnancy, then there is a medical abortion that you can get by taking a combination of medications. And I'm not going to go into the details of the medications, but there are 2 pills that you would take. And this would need to be just prescribed by a doctor. There are also online services that you can research to find out whether you can get those prescriptions. But the pregnancy would have to be within the first 10 to 12 weeks of pregnancy to have a safe medical abortion. So the 2 medicines, when taken together, are used to terminate an unwanted pregnancy. And it is 98% effective when taken within the first 10 weeks of pregnancy. And both medications do something a little bit different. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but I want people to understand that the morning after pill is not the same as a medical abortion with medication. So those are 2 options that I think everybody needs to know about. And I think it's really important to have these open discussions. If you are entering into a relationship with somebody, or if you've found yourself pregnant, you need to speak to the person that got you pregnant. Of course, if it's something that happened as a rape situation or a sexual assault situation, that is a different story. It's not like you're going to be able to have that conversation with the person who got you pregnant. There are going to be certain circumstances when that conversation is not going to be had, and you're going to have to make this decision on your own, unfortunately. And this is something that happens to many women all over the world. And it's a very scary situation for many women. And I want to make sure that women have the correct information. This episode is really about empowering us as women to know all of the details about abortion so that they can make the correct decisions for themselves. Again, the morning after pill is something that you can take within the first few days after you've had unprotected sex to allow your body to not get impregnated. But if you do find yourself pregnant and you are considering having an abortion, having that medical abortion with the medication, the 2 pills, is something that you need to do within the first 10 to 12 weeks of pregnancy. Paying attention to that, not ignoring the symptoms of pregnancy, and thinking about how you want to proceed. And having a child is a beautiful thing. I myself have children. They are absolute blessings. But I know that if I would have gotten pregnant at, say, 16 or before college even, I don't think that I would have wanted to have the child. I think that it really would have changed my life in a lot of ways. And I want to give women the opportunity to have the choice to make these decisions. And unfortunately, the choice is being taken away from us. I grew up in a time when I did have a choice, and now women may not have that choice depending on where you live in the United States. So I certainly am putting out this information so that women can empower themselves to know the information that they need in order to protect themselves. So in conclusion, I want to just say that there are ways that you can get involved. You can certainly volunteer at a local clinic. You can support abortion funds. You can educate and raise awareness, which is what I'm doing right here. And you can support your reproductive justice organizations. And so I encourage you to have conversations with your friends and family, have conversations with your partners, have conversations with the people that you are actually engaging in sexual activity with. It's super important to have these conversations to know what exactly you would do if you were to get pregnant, how you would want to handle that situation in an unwanted situation, because we are going to continue to have sex. Our world is not going to suddenly become abstinent just because there are these new legalities in place. So we need to really talk about and destigmatize these conversations and erase the shame, because sexuality should not be shameful. It's how we all got here. And so I encourage you to have these conversations with your friends, family, partners, so that you can have a plan of action in the event that you are ever pregnant and not wanting to keep the child. Thank you so much for listening today. I appreciate you listening. And again, if you have any questions, I will be putting in the show notes some information so that you can reach different organizations. And until next time, for ad-free listening, exclusive bonus episodes, Eve's library of archived webinars, and early access to new releases of Please Me, become a monthly supporter on Patreon. Simply open the Patreon app on your phone, search for Please Me, and subscribe today for premium content and more. Cheers to finding your pleasure and big lit energy.